Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with another game review. Don't worry, I have my unboxing of my newest costume video coming. Even though there's only like 4 or 5 of you voted for it, I'm still coming out with it, but I still want to at least give you a video once a week. So this is a little nugget I found that I never played or heard of before. This is my review of By Sweet Carole. It was developed by Little Sewing Machine and published by Maximum Entertainment and released all the way back on October 9th of 2025 on every single system. As you see, as you look at this, you're like, what the hell is this, Nate? It looks like a cartoon, like a Disney cartoon. And that's what's really awesome about this game. This is a 2D animated adventure horror game inspired by platforming and obviously the animation of games like Cuphead, with the backgrounds and story inspired by Clock Tower. In fact, this game originally started out as a Clock Tower inspired game known as Remothered, but most of the data was lost due to a computer crash. But in 2020, the creator, Daryl, was able to recover some of his work and decided to switch over to this deliciously beautiful hand-drawn art style, obviously inspired by Disney films. But what exactly is By Sweet Carole? Well, I'm not going to get into details because it's rather disturbing, sort of like Orwellian dystopian life of this poor girl. But it's a take on pushing boundaries and disturbing depictions of bullying, death, and suffering. Now, the gameplay is very, very rudimentary. This almost reminds me of like Dragon Slayer or Space Ace to a point. Now, what I mean by that is some of the parts of it are obviously like mostly animated cartoons with some quick time events that you do. But as she goes around this orphanage, solving puzzles like flipping switches, combining items together, and solving these weird rudimentary puzzles to progress through the overall story, which will take you, give or take, about 5 to 7 hours long. And most of the controls are pretty straightforward. You know, it'll pop up and you see like triangle to look or square, or you press over to actually use an item. And it only lets you use items at certain places. And the save feature is pretty decent. And as you go through, you actually can end up turning into a rabbit, as you see here, which helps you with getting through certain obstacles. Like as Carole, she can climb and she can flip, switches and grab handles as long as it's within reach. But as the bunny rabbit, she really can't do that, but she can jump really far and do this wall bounce move that allows you to, circumvent the puzzles around here. Now, honestly, it's really weird as you play as Lana, as you chase clues about your friend Carole, solving these puzzles and progressing the story. Now, I have to give some pros and cons to this, okay? First of all, this is an indie group, and honestly, it looks fantastic. The visual art style is spot on. It looks like they took Belle from Beauty and the Beast and crossed her with Snow White and changed her just enough so the House of Mouse can't sue your ass. And honestly, the gameplay itself is rather rudimentary, puzzle like Clock Tower, basically going through areas, flipping switches, looking at stuff, solving riddles to progress through. It's not really too difficult of a game. I did find some annoying parts with some other enemies and stuff, like the hag, woman that follows you around. But for the most part, you can figure it out once you figure out the puzzles and stuff. It's very easy to get through this. Like I said, I'll give some pros and cons. First up, the pros. Hands down, the hand-drawn animation is fantastic. Honestly, I love this art style, the aesthetic, the background levels, the way they look. The animated characters are phenomenal, and I have to say the voice acting is really top-notch as well. Honestly, the music's great. It just kind of reminds me of a Sega CD game back in the day. It really does. And it does have some weird sort of, I wouldn't say horror elements, but yeah, I guess sort of horror element. Dark, disturbing elements are kind of decent. It almost kind of reminds me of a Don Bluth film. Basically like Don Bluth actually made, Space Ace and Dragon Slayer. It kind of reminds me of that. It really does. And I do like the ability to switch to your different characters as you progress through this game. Like I said, the rabbit mechanic, hands down, nothing like super convoluted or complicated. But it's nice to be able to mix it up a bit with some of these puzzles and stuff. Now, as for game length, it's not that bad, and overall price, it's really a discount price at this point since it's been out so long. So honestly, those are some pretty good pros, I would say, with this. But I got to talk about the cons. Most of the puzzles in this have severe backtracking issues. You'll get into a certain area with a certain set amount of rooms where the puzzles are set, and lots of backtracking. Go to here, flip this switch, to go to here, to flip that switch, to run over here, to flip this switch, to go over here, flip, switch. So that right there, backtracking, it makes all the puzzles in this take way too long. In fact, if you get to a more streamlined, you could probably do this game in an hour and a half, 2 hours. So, the backtracking, once again, is padding to the game. And, while they add some new stuff with new animation and stuff, I don't really like it. And the story is very convoluted, told very poorly. I love how they have this voiceover animator who's talking as you go through, and also Carole talks. But the story is just not really done, in a great way. You can understand what's going on once you collect all the notes and everything that goes on. And it's a really kind of sad, disturbing story. It really is. Especially the poor Lana girl. She just gets bullied and treated like crap through this whole game. And it would have been nicer if they would have had a little bit more fleshed out story told a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, there's a story. It's just, it wasn't told the right way, I think. It was kind of disappointing. And a lot of the puzzles are just annoying. Seriously, just figuring out what to do. It's not rocket science, but you're like, okay, there's a lock on this elevator. I got to figure out the 3 items needed to unlock it. And go here, go to there, get this item, go to here. So, and seriously, the puzzles are annoying because of the amount of backtracking and the gameplay loop. Gameplay loop, hands down, is kind of the worst part of this game. I mean, you can get past the visuals and all that, and you look at the game itself and you realize it's not that good of a game. It really isn't. The gameplay loop is monotonous as hell. It is basically like what I said with all the puzzles. You've got to progress to each section of this orphanage, the little bunny orphanage, and it's kind of annoying the way it's set up. And like I said, the visual fidelity, yes, that's great, but the looks of a game can only carry it so far. It's got to have good gameplay, and the gameplay in this is very simplistic and very bare bones. Once again, I'm not trying to knock the development team at Little Sewing Machine. It's such a small indie group that made this, so it's very impressive what they did. It's just the gameplay is it's rather lacking with the gameplay itself. And the other thing is there's some load times that I've had some issues with. I'm playing it on PS5, and there's load times. So that right there, I don't see why. There are QTEs when the full motion kicks in on some of the animated parts, and that reminds me of Dragon Slayer. But most of it, as you see, is what you get. Going around exploring, hiding. But honestly, can I recommend this game? Can I actually recommend Buy Sweet Carole? Now, at the price right now, you can get it for less than like $20 for a digital version, and even a $35 or less for a physical copy of this. And a game like this, I would have to say, for that price and the amount of gameplay you get, it's not really bad. And considering this is a indie group that made it, but I do have to say, it is rather buggy. The controls are kind of stiff. And the overall premise of it has a good amount of charm. And like I said, the animation and visual fidelity is top notch. But I got to sit here and say, I do think it is worth the money for this to help this indie group in making a sequel that I heard they're working on. But honestly, you just have to get used to the fact that the gameplay loop itself is basically what you see on screen. Go to an area, flip a switch, go get an item, take this item, combine it with another item, use this item to activate this door, to go through the door, to activate another switch. And that's really the whole game. It really is, which is a shame. I wish there was more variety, but for such a small team, I have to give them credit where credit is due. It is buggy, it is kind of clunky and stiff on the controls, but if you can get past that, the aesthetic in itself, the characters, and what's going on in this, it harkens back to, like I said, a Don Bluth, animated film or like a Alice in Wonderland sort of thing. You know, it really does have that aspect, and I'm really shocked that they got this close to looking like Disney animation without the House of Mouse stepping in and going, ha ha, ha ha, we're going to take all your money, bitch, ha ha. So fortunately, that hasn't happened. But like I said, I can recommend picking this game up for like less than $20 if you find it. It helps the development group, and you know, honestly, it works, makes it to where they work towards getting their sequel out. And in the end, it's definitely an odd title. But I still wanted to give you guys some game reviews up until the new stuff drops. But please, leave in the comments below if you have actually played or seen By Sweet Carole. What were your thoughts of it? Do you agree or disagree with me on anything I've said? What do you think about the control and all that? Please give me lots of likes, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and of course here at Devil Dog Gaming, we always end our videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember people, the devil is in the details. Peace out until next time.